think everyone's used to me doing this at the beginning.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Here it is Monday night again, and we're live to discuss the wonderful Beach House rules with Kristy, Woodson, Harvey. I'm Brenda Gardner, and here with my co-host.
Lisa Harrison,
Yay!
the silly one.
No, not the silly one.
Ah, well, I
So
always get like this when we have one of my favorite people of all time on, and I think we all are super excited for this. So, do you want to go ahead and introduce our lovely guest who really doesn't need an introduction but deserves one?
I would love to. So tonight we have with us Kristy Woodson Harvey, and she is the New York Times, USA Today, and Publishers Weekly best-selling author of 11 novels. Many of her books have been optioned or in the development for television and film and have received numerous accolades, including Good Morning America's Buzz Pick, Southern Living's Most Anticipated Reads, Katie Couric's Featured Books, and Joanna Garcia Swisher's The Happy Place Read. Kristy is the winner of the Lucy Bramlett Patterson Award for Excellence in Creative Writing and a finalist for the Southern Book Prize. A Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude graduate. I'm always so impressed when I read that. Congratulations, Kristy. Of UNC at Chapel Hill School of Journalism, her writing has appeared in numerous publications, including Southern Living, Parade, Traditional Home, USA Today, and many more. She also holds a master's in English. Kristy is, of course, as many of us know, the co-creator and co-host of a little show that they call Friends in Fiction with
Hmm.
colleagues Mary Kay Andrews, Kristen Harmel, and Patty Callahan Henry. She's also co-founder of the interior design site Design Chic with her mom, Beth Woodson. She lives on the North Carolina coast with her husband, son, and dog, Salt, where she is always working on her next novel. Welcome, Kristy.
Yay!
Hi. I was like, it's lagging for a second. How are y'all? Yay.
He's
Doing
here.
fine.
So good to see you
I'm in
guys.
stereo.
So glad to see y'all. Thanks for having me tonight.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang with us.
So fun. I can't wait to talk about spoilers.
I
I know
know.
we're not doing it yet, but I love that.
I know. I just looked in the chat and like Bubba, like the first thing she posted, like right off the rip was, "Is it spoiler time yet?" We have till
No, Bubba.
7:15.
Wait.
I love
Well,
it.
we know you have been quite busy on tour, and so it's really wonderful to be able to sit down and talk about some of the details of this book, Kristy.
No, I'm excited. And this is my first night back. So this is like perfect timing. So it's like I just rolled right
Yay.
in and I got home about 30 minutes ago. So it was great timing.
Aw, that's awesome.
I
Well,
know.
we want to thank you for giving us a shout out in the acknowledgments in the book. That's so
Of
sweet. Whenever you
course.
It's,
Oh
do
my
that,
it's very
gosh.
sweet.
that's
We love you
always
guys.
such a huge honor. So we thank you for
Oh,
that.
well, thank you.
And since you're fresh off tour, can you tell us a little bit about your tour? Anything exciting happen or at the live Friends in Fiction event?
It was just so fun, like all the way around. I mean, it was just like, definitely my best tour. It was just so fun to like see so many readers and just be out and about. And yes, the live event in Litchfield was amazing. Brenda was there, so that was really fun to get to see her.
Yes.
And it was crazy. I mean, it was just so great. We had such a good time. Litchfield Books did an amazing job. It was super well orchestrated and just it was a great, great time. So it was just the whole tour was wonderful. I think I was in like 15 states so when it was all said and done, which was
Oh,
I will say, if I had to just say one tiny negative thing, the flights, y'all.
oh my gosh.
I will say, like, looking back, it'll be like funny. Now it's like funny stories, but at the time I was like, oh my gosh, there were like so many like random mishaps. Wait, I have to tell you one because it was so funny. So, after the Litchfield event, I was flying out to, I guess, Maryland. Yeah, I was flying to Maryland that night. And so I got to the airport, everything was fine. We get on the plane and you can just feel it, like the wind starts to pick up and the plane is shaking and it starts pouring rain. And I'm
My
like near
God.
the front, and the flight attendant looks at me and she's like, "Get off the plane. Everybody leave your stuff. Get off the plane." Like she starts yelling. And I was like, "Oh my God." So I mean, I'm out of there. And I was like, "What is happening?" I've never had that happen before.
I know.
Apparently, like someone had gotten, like the plane was shaking so violently that someone who was out there, I guess, like putting luggage in the plane had actually gotten like hit by the plane. And so I don't know why. I don't know why we were all getting, I don't know. They were just like really freaked out. Like it started thundering and lightning. So we were all like running off the plane. So I finally got to Baltimore at like 2:30 in the morning. So I did my
Oh
two
my
events that
gosh.
day and decided that because I'd
Oh
had
my
so many
goodness.
flight delays already, that I was going to fly to Indianapolis at 9:50 that night instead of waiting till the morning. And so I got on the 9:50 flight, landed at 11:30, went straight through went straight to get my rental car. Everything was smooth sailing. I got all the way to downtown Indianapolis, and the Pacers had won the playoffs for the first time in 25 years.
Oh yeah.
And I was stuck for hours. Like I couldn't turn, I couldn't get, my hotel was finally like, "Ma'am, we're going to cancel your reservation because you're not going to get here tonight." And I was like, I am in the middle of Indianapolis at 2 in the morning. What do you suggest I do?" So I drove to Carmel, Indiana, which was like 30 minutes away, and got there at like
My
2:10 or something. It
gosh.
was crazy. So that was like 2 nights in a row. And I was like, all right,
Oh my gosh.
I've got to get some sleep at some point. But then woke up, like, had the best event in Indiana, and like everything else was fine. But it was just so funny. I was like 2 nights in a row.
Oh my
But
gosh.
on the bright side, now I can always look back and be like, I was there. I was there when the Pacers won the playoffs. And now they're like in the championships. And so Kristen was laughing because she's going like the day that if they win, they would have their parade. So she's like very prepared because now she knows about my experience.
Well, I think she does. I think if I'm mistaken, last night the other team, the OKC won. So I
Okay.
don't think they'll have the parade for the
Okay.
Pacers unless
Well,
they
now
have
I'm a big Pacers fan,
another
so
one.
I'm sad to hear that.
I know. My mom was sad too. She wanted Indiana to win.
Oh, but wow, how crazy is that after all the stuff in Myrtle Beach and then, oh
No.
my goodness.
Wow.
Wow.
So funny. So funny.
That's those are the things we don't get to
But it
hear
really
about,
was an
the
amazing tour, but it's just funny.
crazy
Like,
things.
those are the things, like, those are, I don't know,
Yes.
there's always something funny that happens. And like, now that I lived, it was really funny.
Yes. Now that it's over.
You survived.
I
That's right.
survived, so now it was great.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead and jump in then. So book club members, as we begin, be sure to put any additional questions in the chat you'd like to ask Kristy, and we are spoiler free until 7:15, which gives us 5 whole minutes that we are
Sorry, I
still
gotta hurry.
forbidden from doing spoilers. So Kristy, could you give us a summary for those who are tuning in just for the spoiler free part?
Yes. So Beach House Rules is about a woman named Charlotte who comes home to find her house covered in caution tape because her husband Bill has been accused of a white collar crime. And she is having a little bit of a tantrum in her local bank, as I assume one might in a situation like this. And a woman that she vaguely knows pulls her out and tells her that she is the owner of a bed and breakfast that is on hiatus because her niece and her 3 children and one of her niece's friends and her 2 children are currently living at what is maybe not so affectionately nicknamed the Mommy in this town. So, Charlotte doesn't necessarily want to move in with these women that she doesn't really know, but she knows she doesn't really have a choice. And so she does. She moves in, and these women have a bond like right away because they've all been brought under this roof under extraordinary circumstances. But then they start to realize there's something that connects them that they were not aware of. And they begin to wonder whether their coming together was a coincidence or if maybe it was orchestrated by something outside of themselves.
So
Ooh,
good.
that is a tantalizing bit without spoilers. I have to say, I love this novel, and I don't know, it's just sort of a combination of the found family aspect, the small town rumors, the false accusations. But I think one of my favorite aspects is that you're incorporating the commune into the as the setting. And I know that you've talked about this, but tell us how you landed upon that idea.
Yeah. So it was something that I saw in the news, which was so random. So it was about this time 2 years ago, and I had just come home from tour, and I was like, I'm gonna take a day off, which like never happens when you get home from tour because you get home from tour and you're so behind. But I was watching Good Morning America, which I like, don't often do. I mean, I watch like bits and pieces and clips and stuff, but it was actually like just sitting there watching it, like having my coffee. And a group of women came on talking about their commune. And I never heard of this before, but I mean, I figured, it's a mom commune, right? And so I was picturing like, farms and canning and singing Kumbaya. I don't know, whatever you do at a commune. But these women were
Understanding.
just very like typical, it was not anything, but they were like, yeah, we all found ourselves as single mothers unexpectedly, and we couldn't afford our lives. And they were having a hard time getting child support and all the things that we hear about a lot. And they decided that if they moved in together, that, financially their lives could work. And so they moved in together for financial reasons, but then discovered that having the emotional support of other, adults under the same roof and being able to share, parenting responsibilities and duties in the house was just so great and made it a lot easier for them to raise their children. So, that was kind of, I mean, nothing. Like I just turned the TV off, moved on with my day. But then I just felt like this idea was like following me, and I just kept seeing these communes everywhere. And so finally one morning I thought, wonder what people would say about a commune in a small southern town. And then that's really where the idea came from, because I thought that's the story. It's not the women living under the roof. It's just, you know, what would other people say and what would be the reality versus the perception. And I'm so interested in that, especially like being from a small southern town and living in a small southern town. And there's always gossip, y'all know. I mean, there's always
Oh,
gossip,
yeah.
rumors, and sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. And so that was kind of a fun thing to get to play with in this book.
It's so
I do
fun.
love that about it because there's a lot of things, rumors going on around this town.
Yeah.
So
That,
we've reached spoiler time. So it's 7:15 for those
yay.
who haven't finished the book yet. Time to sign in later and see the rest of it because spoilers are ahead. Now, this may or
Yay.
may not be a spoiler,
Okay.
but we asked Ron, and Ron wants to know what is the most surprising question you were asked on tour about beach house rules?
Oh, okay. So I don't know the most surprising question, but I know the most surprising statement. So
Okay, that'll work.
my very first event, a woman came up to me after, and so this is obviously so I guess we're in spoiler time, so you've probably read the
Yeah.
book if you're in spoiler time. But she comes up to me and she's like, "My name is Alice, and I have 3 dead husbands, and I did not kill any of them." I was like, what? So for people who like maybe don't remember or haven't read or whatever, Alice in this book has 3 dead husbands, and the town thinks that she killed them all. They call her the Black Widow. So, um,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty memorable. I
Right. I was
forgot
like,
Yeah,
no,
that's
you're kidding.
memorable.
And I was so happy that it happened the first event of tour, because I was like, I can use this little gem on every event that I do for the rest of it. So that was very surprising and kind of hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious because it's sad for her that she had 3 dead
Yeah.
husbands. Just
Right.
the just the idea that that was even possible. I mean, she thought it was really funny, obviously when she was telling.
Wow.
So yeah, so funny.
I have a question from the chat. Carrie would like to know, when you have vacations with lots of friends or family, do you go to the beach? And if so, are there rules?
I love that. So I live at the beach.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I mean, sometimes when we go on vacation, it's with friends and family, but I mean, it's with friends and family. It's usually with friends and family. Sometimes when we go on vacation, it is to like a different beach, but sometimes it's not. But I think I read an article about this, and it hasn't come out yet, but it's coming out in Parade, I think, in the next like couple weeks. But um, I grew up having like going on these big family beach weeks with my family every year, and they were so fun. And there kind of were, like, I wouldn't say there were like rules that were set in stone, but like there definitely were. Like like the night that we got there was like the night that grandmommy and granddaddy picked up barbecue, and that's what we had for dinner. And then like all the dads played golf like certain days, and like all like it was somebody's night to cook dinner every night. And like it's funny how I didn't really realize it when I was writing the book, but I actually think looking back on it, a lot of that kind of like seeped in. But because I live at the beach and I have a son and he's 13, and we have a lot of friends that come in for the summer. And so we always have kids running around, and we always have people spending the night, and like it's boys, and they just like we were laughing about this today. Like when girls are spending the night, like there's a plan. Like it's a slumber party, and you've packed for it, and you've prepared, and you've traded outfit notes, and you know what you're going to wear. And you know, boys, it's like, oh hey, we're all staying here tonight, and no one has clothes, and no one cares if they shower, and it's just a different animal.
Free for all.
Yeah. So my only real rule, I mean, I have a lot of them, obviously, but I would say my like beach house rule that's kind of funny is I'm like, I don't care what you do, but you have to brush your teeth. And so we have these like my husband's a dentist, so we have like buckets of toothbrushes at our house. So I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you shower, I don't care if you change, but everyone has to brush their teeth. So that's our big
That's
rule.
hilarious.
That's a great rule to have. That's a great
It's a good
rule.
rule, right?
Everyone should follow that rule.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So one of the important parts of the story, and or you kind of touched on it, but now that it's spoiler, we can get into it, is the gossip from the Juniper Shores socialite, which I loved that so much in the book.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you know all along, or did it evolve as you became more familiar with the characters? Like, did you know that it was going to be Merritt the whole time, or did it grow?
So I actually didn't have Juniper Shores socialite even in this book for like the first two drafts. It was something that came later. And I really,
Wow.
I just had this feeling that like I was trying to sort of drive home this point about like the perception versus the reality and the gossip. And it wasn't really coming through the way I wanted it to, because when people around town are just talking about it, or like when this like kind of gossipy reporter was like sort of talking about it in her column, it just didn't feel, I wanted it to feel light and funny. Like that was kind of the point of it. Like I wanted it to be fun. I didn't want it to be like mean or hurtful. I just wanted it to be kind of like satirical a little bit. Like this is what happens, but nobody takes it that seriously. And honestly, I kind of liked the idea that like we sort of have the power to manipulate it a little bit, which is really what these women do. So, um, I had no idea. And so when I was writing the book, and like when I was writing the draft where I put all the Juniper Shore socialite pieces in, I really didn't know who it was going to be. But then there was something that clicked with me, because this part was already in the book. Like when Iris says to Merritt, like, oh, like, you know, if you're gonna, you know, tell them that you're gay, you should tell them something really bad, like something really horrible and she's joking, like it's a
Yeah.
joke. But when she said it, I was like, oh my God, what if Merritt is Juniper Shore's socialite? Like this would be perfect. And it was funny because there were like a couple of things that I had like put in the book already that led to that I was like, oh, well, like maybe I knew it was him the whole time, because it was
All
like
along.
be times where like he was on his phone, and then like there are things that I think maybe you wouldn't 100% notice if you're reading the book, but then like maybe in retrospect you'd be like, oh, well, like he was posting then, or he was doing that then, or like this is something that only Merritt would have been able to know. And I liked the idea that I felt like he had a motive for this, because he was trying to portray to the town something about himself that wasn't true. And so I felt like he had a motive. And I didn't want him to be like a villain, because I love him. So
Yeah. It's great
I
character.
wanted him to, you know, when he's explaining to them, like, well, you know, but you know, I did this for you, and I did this for you, and I did this for you. And the way that it unraveled might not have been the kindest at every minute, but like he changed all these people's lives and like
Yeah.
manipulated them right back where they needed to be, you know? And so, but so no, I didn't know, but then, you know, he seemed like, I guess, maybe the obvious choice, and maybe not the most 100% like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, I know there are people who have guessed and there are people who haven't. So, that's
I
good.
did not
Okay,
guess.
I did not.
I was
Okay,
off.
good.
Either of
So
us.
book club members, put in the chat. Did you know it was
Did you
Merritt, or who did
know?
you think? Who did you? I didn't know. I kept thinking, who is this? I'm like, maybe it's someone we haven't met yet. Like
Well, and someone
I
texted
kept
me and was like,
thinking all
I thought
different
it was
things.
Emma the whole time. And I was like, oh, she
Uh,
would have been a really good one because she's in it, but she's sort of on the fringes of the family a little bit.
Yes.
yeah,
But I just felt like at the end of the day, Merritt had the most motive because he is trying to portray something about his own life. And the rest of these women, I felt like they were like wading through their things, if that makes sense. Like the public perception was maybe kind of hurtful, but it also like they were in the thick of it and they were going to get through it together. And Merritt kind of had like more of a journey to go on, I think, because he's younger and he's like coming to terms with this big thing about himself. So anyway, but I did love
And it
him.
helped to turn the tide for,
yeah.
for Bill too.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Mhm.
while we're waiting for responses, we had an advanced question related to Juniper Shore Socialite from
Okay.
Kathy, who wants to know, how did you come up with the sign off TNT and which one was your favorite?
Okay, so I think I have to give my husband some credit for this because when I was writing the first couple of posts, I was like, I need some cute sign off that's like, you know, like XOXO Gossip Girl, but like more fun, like something that I can, that's like a little more, personalized. Um, and he was like, what about Till Next Tide? And I was like, oh my God, I love that. And I was like, and if you shorten it, it's dynamite.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't originally planning on having them all be different, but then when I got into it, I was like, oh, it would be kind of fun. And those are the sorts of things like I sort of like the thing in A Happier Life where I was like, I don't know if I can keep all these entertaining tips up, but I'm going to see how it goes. And I was like, I don't know if I can come up with a different TNT for everyone, but like I'm going to try. So fortunately it worked out. It's a
It
little more
was
harder than others.
fantastic. And when you just said Gossip Girl, it was funny last night when I was talking to Brenda and we were talking about this and I was like, I loved it so much. I was like, I'm gonna ask her if she liked Gossip Girl. It totally gave me Gossip Girl vibes, but it was different. But it was just enough for me to be like, oh, because in my
No,
head,
yeah.
like I did a mixture of reading it and listening to it.
Uh-huh.
But when I read it, when I was reading the socialite part, Kristen Bell's voice was in my head. And so I was like, I'm just thinking like it was just like a Gossip Girl thing. So
Well,
it was
and
like
it's
a little
funny too, because
nod.
the audiobook narrator, I've only listened to like a couple of chapters of it, but she reads it very like almost like I don't know if monotone is the right word, but she's not like, and in my head, it's very like, which investment gurus, the house is covered in
Yeah.
caution tape.
Yes.
Like it was like a little
Yes.
more like sparkly in my head. But I think they
Jazzy.
did,
She'd give a little
yeah.
like tea, like she'd give a little like a little, just a little smirk or a little spice when she got to the TNT
Yeah,
parts
yeah,
on the
yeah.
audiobook.
It's so
That's
funny.
so
Well,
funny.
and that's a good point too, heading into the next question, because this story has multiple, points of view, and you have different tones for each of those. It's just very interesting that you were able to give all those people a voice and have this different like socialite voice. And
Yeah.
somewhere in there's a question. But
Hold on. Before you go on with the
okay,
question, let's read some
okay.
of these answers
Oh yeah,
Okay.
let's. I didn't realize they
because
come in.
there's a
Okay.
whole lot.
Okay.
So Lori says she had no idea. Rhonda did not know. Mary said never had him on the list of suspects. Michelle didn't guess.
Suspects.
Bubba says it was the best mouth drop open moment I've had in a while. I had zero idea. Molly said, nope, I didn't know. Amber didn't know. Linda didn't know. Debbie said towards the end, she guessed it.
All right. All
And
right.
Michelle said Emma crossed her mind as well. Susie didn't know. Dee didn't know. Edie said it was a delightful surprise. Cindy didn't know. Mindy didn't know.
All right. My goodness.
I think another,
I don't
no
feel
one
alone
knew.
now.
It was a
That's
nice,
good.
yeah,
Thanks,
you
ladies.
did
I
good.
love it. I'm glad that you were a little surprised. That's
There's
exciting.
Yeah.
more. Yep, there's a lot more people still, but I haven't come across one that says they knew yet.
Except Debbie.
So,
Except
Awesome.
Debbie.
except
Debbie.
Debbie, she figured it out towards the end.
Patty said she knew.
She did.
Mhm.
Yep.
I mean, towards the end, she texted me and she was like, I have like 60 pages left and I think I know. And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you either way. No, she didn't tell me. She's like, I think I know, but I'm not going to say. And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you. So you have to keep reading.
You'll have to finish the book.
So it was a standoff. Well, I was curious about with those different voices, whose was the most fun to write, or was it the socialite?
You know, Socialite was really fun to write. I think beyond that one, I think Iris was really fun to write. Like it was, and I did that kind of purposely. I wanted to have a teenager in there originally because I wanted to add some kind of like levity to the story because there are some parts of the story that have to be a little heavier. I mean, Charlotte's story cannot be all sunshine and roses because obviously
Right.
like her life is just falling apart. Alice's story can't be sunshine and roses because she's carrying around a lot of grief and a lot of like kind of unnecessary guilt that like she shouldn't really have assigned to her. Like she just has a lot going on. So I wanted Iris's story. I mean, of course she has her moments, but I wanted her story to be a little bit more like I think even the parts of her story that are serious are a little more lighthearted because she's a teenager. So I think like the things that she's worried about and the things that she's thinking about and you know the fact that she can manage to like play her parents against each other when one of them's in jail, like it's great. I mean, it's genius. Like only a teenage girl could do such a thing. So I think she was really, really fun to write.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
that
So
is
I have an
awesome.
advanced question from Brenda in the chat, Brenda Gaskell, another Brenda. And she would like to know if did you ever visit any mommunes as part of your research?
A really good question. So, okay, I did a lot of research for this book, but I did not do a lot of research. I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to explain to you why. I did not do a lot of research on actual mommunes. So even when I was seeing all of the like articles and stuff coming up, I wasn't really reading a ton into them. Like I was like there were a few that I skimmed, but I wasn't really because I felt like for me, I wanted to create my own thing. Like I wanted my Mommune to be what I wanted it to be, and I didn't want it to be like a copy of something that someone had done. So, I did not visit any and real although that would have been really fun. And there was a part of me that was like I should interview some of these women, like I should talk to them. But then I just thought, you know, this is a part of the story that I can really visualize. And there are not a lot of rules to it in real life, right? I mean, it's you know, there's some things that you're doing that you're researching that like it has to be right because it's factual. This was just something that wasn't super factual. And I thought, well, I can make this whatever I want. And so I felt like sometimes those creative freedom parts of the story are my favorite parts. And so I was sort of like, I'm just going to let my mind wander to what I think this would be like. And to be totally honest, I went into this thinking that there was going to be a lot more conflict within the house, like different parenting
Oh,
styles, like different eating habits, different like things that you don't really notice until you're like under a roof with someone and then they drive you insane. But once I kind of got all these women in there and they're like a couple things at the beginning, but then like I'm like, what's there to fight about? Grace is cooking all of your meals. You're taking turns doing laundry. You're taking turns doing carpool. Whatever you, and they say this, like whatever you do in the house is coming back to you in some way. So I'm like, what would you be fighting about?
oh,
So
I
it
wanted
actually kind
Grace
of
to make
evolved.
me
And
lunch. I
yeah,
wanted
right. I'm
Grace to
like,
make me lunch.
someone's making
I
me
know.
lunch. What am I grumpy about? Nothing.
And you
Nothing.
know when I knew it was going to be okay was when Julie told Charlotte, you know, whatever happens in the house stays in the house, you know,
Yeah.
we're and then I thought, okay, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I had some moments in there that I was like, do I let Julie turn on them? But I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So, yeah.
No, I
There's enough
totally
going
agree
on
because that
anyway.
was when I was,
We had
yeah.
enough controversy happening in there. So I felt like we did.
Oh, that's funny.
But that is a very good question.
Yes, great question. We've
Well,
got, oh, go ahead, Brenda.
oh, no, if you have things in the chat, go ahead, because the next one is a shifting the gears kind of thing.
We just have a couple more comments, and Michelle would like to know what you're drinking.
Aren't
I
we
am just drinking kombucha. But isn't it pretty and with
really?
champagne
Very
cube?
pretty.
It's
Yeah.
I
so
saw, I was like,
fancy.
And
ooh.
I thought it kind of looked like Ron's Juniper Shores Socialite. I mean, not exactly. His was like a little bit prettier color pink, but it was what I had to work with. So, you know,
Well, and
Very cool.
it could be the Juniper Shores socialite
I just
or
put
tonight.
extra dragon fruit in there. That's what we
Oh,
Ooh,
nice.
that's why it's so pretty.
All right. Well, we're gonna bring a book club member on to ask you a question or two live. So
Okay. How fun. Y'all
we'll
are so fancy.
let us welcome the
Hey,
Santa.
long time
Hi,
no
Yay!
see.
everyone. Yeah, long time no see. It's been what, like 4 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, how many times did you see Kristy on tour?
We went
Just
to
two.
Kristen Harmel's book launch for the Friends in Fiction Live.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, but I meant in addition to that.
Just it was just two
I did,
total.
I did, yeah, I did Christie's and then I did Kristen's.
Oh,
And I
okay.
just happened to be at both.
Okay.
I'm,
Chris
I'm
Patty's
not the
back in
Kristy
what, March?
police.
It was
I've,
very
I've
fun.
traveled a lot this spring. What can I say? Spring,
Yeah,
summer.
y'all have done a lot of traveling.
Yes, you
You
have.
might have done as
That's
much as
awesome.
I have.
Maybe a little more. But with all of that traveling, that meant I had an opportunity to not only read it, but in the Kristy Woodson Harvey audiobook extravaganza that hubby and I have been going through, we also listened to Beach House Rules. So I've been into this book quite a lot already this year. But so I want to talk a little bit about the two different versions of the book that you wrote and a little bit more about the ending because I've been through this twice and this is like the most spoilery of spoilery, so I'm really sorry anyone else, but
Spoilery.
Nope, we're
it
in
is
the spoiler
7:34, so
alert.
I mean it's
You're
on
No,
you.
good.
no,
But
yeah, no problem.
yeah, so Jeremy says seeing you with other men hurt. And I kept wondering if maybe one of like the alternate edits had him more explicitly talking about, accidents that her other husbands had, and if there was a little more
That's
malevolence
such a good
behind
question. That's such a good question. Okay, so Susan Boyer asked me this too, and she's a mystery writer, and I thought that was so interesting because okay, so there was not a version where like explicitly Jeremy like killed Alice's other husbands. But it is definitely something that went through my mind. It's definitely something that I thought about. But I think that I was trying to like really kind of toe that line of like, yes, there's like a little bit of a thread that's going through here that's like a little bit of a mystery. But I didn't want readers who like don't really love that to be like, what is she doing? Like, why is she going so far over this way? So
Ah,
I actually thought that having having Bill be innocent, having, Alice's name cleared by the fact that Jeremy comes back. Like I thought maybe it was enough and it made us like a happier ending. I felt like if we leaned into like, okay, like maybe Jeremy killed these, like I think it's like a question that the reader can sort of have. And then I'm always like, it's almost there was like a part of me that was like, okay, if I decided to write a sequel to this one day, like maybe like we kind of lean into that a little bit. But it was almost like
interesting.
it was almost
So
like it
are
was
we.
too much. Like there was so much going on in this story that
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I like throw in too many things and like there are too many things coming at the reader. So I was like, I think I'm gonna leave that alone for now. But it definitely crossed my mind, and I think it would be really interesting to explore at a later date. I'm
So
not,
does
I don't
that
have like a
mean we're
sequel
getting a
planned for the book,
sequel?
but you just never know.
I know.
I
I
think
mean,
that would
I
be
don't
really
think
cool.
anyone here would complain if we got to, stick around in Juniper Shores like a little bit longer.
A little bit longer. Good point,
Sequel.
Lisette.
Novella.
That's a really
Dismissed in
good
Juniper
question, though.
Shores.
I really love that question, and I like your thinking there.
Perfect. On a completely different note, all of our phones during your Friends in Fiction live launch dinged with news from AP that Taylor Swift had regained ownership of her masters. And I know that you are also a Swiftie. So, how
I think that
exciting.
was like a sign from heaven that Taylor and I are like destined to meet.
Like
Don't you? That's
this.
all that
I
that could
agree.
mean, right?
I completely agree. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I
Make
love
sure
her
it's
so
when we're
much.
with
And
you.
actually, I was at a family wedding this weekend, and one of my cousin's wives is also like a huge Swiftie. And the band like played a song for us, like for, because we love her so much. And it was really funny. But I'm very happy for her, and I think it's about time, and I'm glad
Yeah.
that she got that worked out. I
Me
love
too.
that.
I share her birthday with her actually. So you know
No
what? If you
way.
become besties with her first, if you can connect us, if I become besties with her first, I'll connect
Okay,
you guys.
I
You
like
guys.
this. I like this plan.
Yeah,
I like this
this
plan. Like
energy.
we can just kind of like hold that loosely on like, because I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's gonna happen for one of the two of us, obviously.
I exactly. I mean, I don't know how it couldn't happen for us.
I don't either.
Undoubtedly.
It's just like it's just right there.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Lisette. I'm so
coming
glad to see
on.
you. Tell Joe
Thank
I
you,
said hi.
Lisette. What great
Absolutely.
questions.
Thank you. Those were very good
Bye.
questions. I like that a lot.
Yes, I was excited for the Swifty. I'm a Swifty too. But I was excited for those questions.
Gosh, and a reader made me the most beautiful friendship bracelet, and she had made me one last year
Oh,
too. And I was like, I want you to know that last year's friendship bracelet got to go to Taylor in Miami. So it's very exciting.
Oh, I love
oh
that.
wow.
Mhm.
That is awesome.
Fancy, fancy.
Yeah. I have so many readers that made me bracelets last year, and they all like my whole arm was like a happier life and friends in fiction, and like
Oh,
just all
that's
it was
cool.
really cool. Yeah.
Fun.
So,
I
Lisa, do you have something in the chat?
have a very awesome comment from the chat
You
from
must have been
Carrie.
emanating from you because I
I
sensed it.
felt it. So Carrie says Juniper Shores needs a coffee Kyle in the sequel.
Or maybe just like Coffee Kyle opens a Peachtree Perk in Juniper Shores. Somebody
Hello.
said to me on like the first day of the, or maybe it was, yes, it was my launch night in Salisbury. Someone said to me, it was Marissa. It was Marissa said to me, you need to do a story where Iris and Vivi from Peachtree Bluff go to Camp Holly Springs together. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. I love
That
that
would be
idea.
amazing.
All right.
But that's just a testament to you and your writing and the great
Yes.
characters because a lot of us, we read so many books and like I read books and I'll remember I loved it or I liked it. I thought it was a great book, but I might not remember every detail about every character, like different characters I love. But when it's a Kristy Woodson Harvey book, I remember all of the characters. I
That's so
remember who I loved, why
nice.
I loved them.
Thank
And
you.
it's just awesome because, like, in connecting those dots from the characters from the different books, who would be friends, who would do,
Well,
it's
it's
like an
so
extra
fun and it kind of
bonus.
starts to like open up different, I mean, it anyway. But I'm sort of doing that in my next book a little bit, so we'll talk about that later. But
Ooh, we will get to that
I was going
later.
to say,
sorry.
we will get to that. So, just to go back to Jeremy for a moment, that was kind of the darker moment, but just to go back to Jeremy for a moment, I have to tell you that scene when she opens the door and Jeremy is there, it was a jaw-dropping moment, and I was so stressed out.
Well, I'm gonna be really honest. Like, I was not sure. I thought my editor's gonna read this book and she's gonna be like, no, come up with something different. Like you cannot have him be alive. And then
Really?
I got my edits. She didn't say anything. Got my line edits. She didn't say anything. So finally I called her and I was like, I mean, are you like down with this? She was like, yeah, it's the only way that you can redeem Alice. And I was like, that's what I thought. Okay. Like, no, I'm in. Like, you have to redeem that woman. And that is the only way. And I was like, okay, great. Agreed.
That's so cool. Yeah, I did not see that coming.
I didn't either. And the scene was so well written because and I'm so glad. I mean, Alice seems so real to me. Like I'm so glad that she was smart enough to say, okay, this guy is wacko.
Yeah, thank goodness, right? Well, and I think you do glorify people in your mind, like especially if
Yes.
if you lose them or maybe there's like kind of an unfinished breakup, like whatever it is, I think you can glorify people in your mind and then you like run into them years later and you're like, wait, what? Like that is what I had built up in my head like this big and I think that's I don't know. Yeah, I think that's definitely, I mean, obviously when she thought he had died, it was like very different, right? Of course she's gonna like glorify him and build him up in her head. But I was proud of her for being able to be like, I think this is problematic on a lot of levels. Because sometimes you don't think that. And I think an
Yeah.
earlier version of Alice might not have. I'm not sure that she would have, I think she might have been swept up in like the drama of it all and like he's back and he's here for me.
Well, we have a couple of comments in the chat about Bill being innocent. So, kind of to go through that, did you know that it was Jeremy all along? Or did that come to you while you were writing? Or like, did you know Bill was going to be innocent all along and then you didn't know?
No.
No.
So I actually wrote the book two different ways. So I wrote it one where he was guilty and one where he was innocent. Mostly because speaking of research, I had to do a ton of research on that. Like that was, and I tried to not like, I tried to thread the needle kind of finely because I didn't want this book to be about Bill's crime. Like that's not the point of the story. I mean, it's important. It's the engine that keeps us moving along, but I didn't want it to become the point of the story. So, but I had to do a ton of research because obviously like it has to be correct and factual. So I wanted to set that up like right up front, like what would have to happen for him to be innocent and what would have to happen for him to be guilty. So that was an important part. But then I mean, ultimately it was a decision that like kind of my editor and I made together. They're like, okay, if he's innocent, it felt like a happier ending for the reader, maybe. I mean, I think there is a world in which like these women stay in the commune and it's great, but I'm not sure that any of them really get like a full character evolution in that version.
Interesting.
And so I felt like if he was innocent, and Charlotte and Iris are kind of able to go back to their life having been changed by this experience. And the change kind of then gives Alice the ability to be like, you know what? Like it's maybe it's time for me to move on too. And then, gives Grace and Julie like yes, they're still staying in the commune, but in a way that they've taken agency over their own lives. And so I felt like that was maybe like a happier ending for all of them, even though it was really fun to write this version of the story where Bill is guilty and they all stay in the house together and like, you know, everyone kind of lives happily ever after in the commune. But I felt like ultimately it was kind of a happier ending. So
Mhm.
yeah, so all that to say, I did not know. And so then of course in the version where he's guilty, Jeremy is also not alive. So that was another piece of it is like if Bill's not guilty, there's no reason in this story for Jeremy to be alive. It just feels like almost like an add-on. Like in the story and the way it is, Jeremy's being alive makes Bill innocent. So it kind of all but yeah, I was like,
Wow.
who am I even like writing this?
I love that you wrote it both ways. That is just
Yeah.
fascinating.
You're
Well,
such an overachiever,
well, I
Kristy.
don't
I
even think it's
know.
that. I think this was a little bit out of the box for me. And I think I think honestly, I was afraid I couldn't pull it off. So I think I thought, well, if I can't pull off the whole, Jeremy's alive and he did and he's behind the crime and he set him up and how did he do it? Like I think I was afraid I couldn't do it. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have this like other version too, if this one doesn't work out. So I really think it was more of a cop out than it was like being an overachiever. I think it was more like hedging my bets.
Well,
Oh.
you
And I wish
definitely
I
pulled
had saved it both
off.
ways. I'm so mad at myself.
Oh, you didn't say the
Because it
Oh,
would have
you
been
didn't
really
say?
fun. No, like it
Oh,
would have
like a
been so,
little.
I'm saying that. Maybe I did somewhere. But I'm like, it would be really fun. Like because there are people who have been like, well, I want to read the version where Bill was guilty. And like that would be really fun to be able to pull that out and say, like, okay, well, this is what it was when he was guilty.
that's right. An alternate universe.
Have
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
alternate, yeah. So I have a fun fact that Lee shared in the chat. Today, June 23rd, is National Widows Day. What a coincidence,
Weird. Wow.
right?
Yes.
I know. Who
Uh-huh.
knew?
Did not know there was a National Widows Day.
Didn't either. That's a really sad
There's a
day.
national day for everything, I feel like.
That's true.
You can
There is
find a
kind of
whole
a
bunch,
holiday every
but
day.
I did
National
not
Ice
know that.
Cream Day. National.
Yeah,
That's
National
true.
Donut Day, and
Yeah, there are a lot of holidays. Got
yeah,
a lot of them.
that is a coincidence that today is National Widows Day. So
It definitely is.
interesting.
Definitely.
I have a question from Debbie. Was it you who ultimately decided which one to publish of the two versions?
Yes. Um, yes, and I think that's the great thing about like having, an editor that like whose opinion that you trust, but who also says to you, it's your name on the cover, and you have to go out and
Mm.
talk about this book for months on end and years on end. I mean, this is, it's your name on the cover. So, sometimes when I'm unsure, like I like to have someone that I like to have someone that I really trust opinion. And my mom liked that ending better too. She's always my first reader, and
Well then.
she really liked the version where Bill was innocent. She's like, I just think like the idea that they kind of get their family back, but they like come back to it kind of changed in a way. It's more,
Exactly.
you know,
Yes.
like kind of fulfilling at the end. And I think it was kind of an obvious choice once I was finished. But see, I did the one where he was guilty first. So I think maybe if I'd done the one where he was innocent first, I would have been like, oh yeah, like this is the right way to go. But I didn't. So, and when I say that, like I know that seems like super complex, but it's not, I mean, it's not that it wasn't that heavy of a lift to do it both ways. Because I mean, obviously the last, maybe quarter of the book changed a lot, but most of the rest of it was pretty much the same. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
So cool.
Well, Kristy, I know. I mean, time is just flying by. We're already at
It
10
always
minutes to 8, but
does. It always
I
does.
know
I know.
I could
We
I
just
could
want
be
to
here for
hang out
another.
with you all night.
I
I
know.
know
It's so
until
fun.
she falls asleep because she's been on tour for.
Yeah, until I'm like, or I just start giving my talk. Like I start falling asleep, but I'm giving my talk.
You're giving your.
I had a dream. Wait, what night was it that I had this dream? It was like somewhere in the middle of tour, and I was so tired, and I like fell asleep, but it was kind of one of those like fitful sleeps, and like in my sleep, I was like answering Q&A in my sleep, and I was like, I need to go home. Like this is maybe unhealthy.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, I was
Well, I have
enjoying.
one. Oh,
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
okay. I was gonna say I have one question.
Mhm.
If readers can only take away one thing from Beach House Rules, what would you want that to be?
Only one thing, because there are like 20 in my head right now. I think one of the things that like looking back over writing this book that kind of stuck out to me was that sometimes when you're in a bad situation, you don't always know who's going to be there for you. And I think that's
Very
Charlotte's.
true.
Like I think sometimes there are people who maybe you expect to be the first person to kind of like rush to your side that actually don't. But like that's okay because it kind of opens the door for someone else to kind of step in and like have a new relationship that ends up changing your life. And I think that's what happens for Charlotte because she doesn't really put that much emphasis on the importance of female friendship. And so when these women step up for her in this really big way, it changes the way that she thinks about who is important in her life and the support system that, like, whether it's friends or family or whatever it is, that like we all do kind of need a support system. Like no one's really an island. And if you're only counting on kind of one person to be your person, it's hard because when something happens with that one person, then you're kind of in trouble. So I don't know. I think it was like kind of maybe something that I was thinking a lot about. I don't really know why, but I think maybe just like moving into kind of like this phase of my life and feeling like, the things that change when you're in adulthood and how, you have different friends and you have different connections. And anyway, I think that's it.
Well, and it
Very
just
true.
that what you just said makes me also think about Friends in Fiction and how different your trajectory is probably now than it would have
Yeah.
been had there been no COVID.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
absolutely. And I think we've probably all said this, but I don't know that I've ever said this out loud, but I think about it a lot. Like I think, I mean, COVID and Friends in Fiction certainly are like a huge part of this, but I think just writing in general has like expanded my world a lot because, I've met so many people that I never would have met. I mean, readers, authors, people in the business, like whatever it is, like just it has expanded my world and my worldview in a lot of ways because I think like they're just so many things that I was like unaware of, so many people I had never met and things that places I never would have been, like whatever it is. I think it's really, yeah, it's really expanded my world a lot, which is very cool. I never would have known you guys. Think about that.
That's
We would
right.
never have
No.
met. We would
I
never have
mean,
met.
we
I mean, maybe we would have. I don't know. I always say that because I'm like, maybe we were just destined to meet. We would have met anyway.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I
I
can't
like to think that
imagine
too, but
life
it's
without you guys.
I know.
I
It would have been
know,
it'd
me
be
neither. And yet
crazy.
it was so different,
I know.
just over 5 years ago.
It totally was.
Wow.
It's crazy. Crazy.
I know, hard to
Well,
believe.
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, Kristy, you have been on a whirlwind um traveling extravaganza. What things do you have coming up?
Well, so this week is the Old Homes Tour in Beaufort. So I'm coming home kind of just in time. So it is a full jam-packed week. On Wednesday, I have an event with Dawn Tripp, who's the author of Jackie. So she's coming in to do the Old Homes Tour authors luncheon with me, and we'll be in conversation about Jackie and Beach House Rules. And we have like a little something that night. And then Marshall Watson is a designer friend of mine, and he's coming in from New York to do this brunch on Sunday. That's always like amazing and beautiful. And so I'm very excited to have him. He has a new book out, a new coffee table book out. So so this is a
Oh.
very jam-packed week, but then it's 4th of July week. And I will say I have the edits back for my book for 2026. So I'm working. I did a lot of work. I had like 2 days in between, and I did a ton of work on those
Wow.
between, but there's like some things that I'm going to kind of deep dive into. So I'm getting close on those. I don't have like a ton to do, but I really need to do like, I love to do my like out loud reads and like things like that that are a little more like the little finishing touches, I think. So.
Oh,
Well, since you mentioned edits and working on things, can
Yes.
you share anything about your next project and what you're working on?
Sure. Yeah. So my spring of 2026 book, I don't have a title for it yet. I really like Leave It to Love. That's kind of my favorite so far,
Oh,
but
that's cute.
or Just Leave Everything to Me. I like both of those. But I don't know if either of those will end up being the title. Probably not. We'll see.
how about TNT?
TNT. I know I thought about calling Beach House Rules Till Next Tide. Like I thought that would be like a really fun title for this one. So yeah, so it's about a NICU nurse who kind of goes through something like tragic and decides to quit her job, like her kind of big, busy job, and move to this little
Mhm.
tiny coastal town of Cape Carolina, which we've seen before in some of my books, like Feels Like Falling and Under the Southern Sky. And she goes to this kind of intermediate nursery thinking like, oh, it'll be sleepy, it'll be easy. And the first day she's at work, an abandoned baby is brought into the hospital. So of course, like this sort of rips this whole town apart because it's this very small town and no one knows whose baby it is or who would abandon this baby, like in the dumpster behind the high school. And the man that finds this baby just so happens to be the baseball coach at the local high school, who just so happens to be Mason, who was Parker's brother in Under the Southern Sky. And so Mason is like the first person that Daisy meets on her first day at her new job. And we also get to hear from Aunt Tilly, who was in that book, who I just loved her. And I felt like we heard a lot about her, but we never got to hear from her. And she never really had like an evolution as a character. She didn't really get her happy ending. And I was like, well, you know what? If I'm going to bring Mason back, and I didn't mean to. It wasn't like I thought I'm going to write a book about Mason. It was like I was really into Daisy and like who she was as a person and like who I wanted her kind of like love interest to be in this book. And as I was like going through all his characteristics, I was like, that is literally Mason from Under the Southern Sky. So I'm just going to bring him in. But then Daisy and Tilly have a lot of things in common. And Tilly is kind of finally at a point where she realizes, like, I think I'm ready to like take these steps to kind of transform my life back. And she does so through the stage at her local community theater, where she is the star of Hello, Dolly.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, I'm not really good at talking about it yet, but it's a very fun book. There are definitely some like heartstrings moments for sure. And yeah, I love these characters. I really love Daisy. And of course, I already loved Tilly and Mason, or I wouldn't have kind of brought them back. But it is definitely not a sequel to Under the Southern Sky. Like I think if you've read Under the Southern Sky, you'll be like, oh, I remember that, or like, oh, that was reminiscent or whatever. But it's like 100% not a sequel. You do not need to have read Under the Southern Sky to like get this book. But I just thought it was fun to like bring those two characters back in from
Oh, that's awesome.
Yay.
yeah,
That's
I've
so
never really
cool.
done that before. So I'm like, maybe I'll do that again because it really was kind of fun. And then,
You're
and then I have
awesome
another book in
characters we
2026
love.
too. So I also have a Peachtree Bluff book coming in 2026 in the fall. So it'll be
Yay.
a little like
Oh,
a little pumpkin spice moment in Peachtree Bluff for all of us.
Oh my
love it.
goodness.
pumpkin spice moment.
Yes.
That is amazing. 2 books from you next year. You're spoiling
What was
us.
I
Yay.
thinking? What was I thinking? No, I'm just kidding. It was great. They're written. I feel good. I feel like I'm in a good spot. So call me when I'm touring twice in 4 months, but
Well,
otherwise.
that means we get to see you more next
Yeah.
year.
That's right.
Well, it means I get to hit more cities, right? I mean, it really does. Like it kind of just
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to not do a ton of overlap and just sort of like hit a lot of different places. So it'll be fun.
And we'll have book club twice.
Well, you don't have to have
Spoiler
me.
alert.
You don't have to have me twice.
No, we want to.
Should have led with
I just
that.
said
You
it.
do not need to feel like you have to have me twice in 2026.
Oh no. You're stuck
Oh,
with
no.
us now, Kristy.
Yeah. That'll be 1/6 of our year.
Right?
Woohoo.
Kind of a lot.
It's our Kristy year.
That's so funny.
My cheeks hurt from
I love
smiling.
that. I know, me too.
I know mine too.
Thank you guys for having me. This has been so fun. I always love seeing you guys.
You're the best.
It's always a fun conversation.
Seeing you too. I'm gonna just do Vanna.
Yeah, I'll Vanna
Some
too.
people probably don't know who Vanna is.
Wait, look behind me here. Brenda was here. Oh no, you weren't. This was at Pelican. I was thinking it was at Litchfield. Dallas gave me this at my Pelican
cute.
Boats event.
I saw the photos.
Adorable.
Pretty funny.
Love it.
That's so funny. He's so funny.
Okay, well, Kristy, before you go, could you just tell any readers who want to pick up a copy of your book signed where they can get a signed copy or a book?
Yes, absolutely. So there are still signed copies at South Main Book Company in Salisbury, which is my hometown. So Salisbury, North Carolina, South Main Book Company. I try to keep them stocked up. And then DG's Gifts and Books in Morehead City has plenty, as does Beaufort Linen Company in Beaufort, North Carolina. And both of those, like I stop by like probably once a week to like personalize. And so if you want a personalized order, if you want, like I'm happy to do those from DG's or Beaufort Linen. So just let me know. Don't let me know.
Yay.
Let them know. It's a better strategy. I forget. They don't.
Okay, well now we have a plan. Kristy, thank you so much. I know you are
Thank
you
you.
are dragging from being on tour, but we have just had the best
No,
time. We could talk to you for hours, but I
no, oh my
know
gosh,
you
no.
don't have hours left to go.
You got me on my rest. I feel good. Like I'm kind of back in action. But anyway, thank y'all for having me. Thank you for this was kind of like a perfect little like cap off to a great few weeks. So thank y'all for having me
Yay.
tonight.
Thank you. We always love
Thanks
having you on.
thanks so much. Take care, Kristy.
Love you
We'll see you
guys.
soon.
All right.
Love you
Bye.
back. Bye.
Yes.
Oh, she's the best.
I know it's always so much fun,
Hmm.
and my cheeks are hurting.
Oh my gosh. I was like,
Yeah, you want to do that again, Lisa?
no, because it'll end up like a screenshot later.
Ooh, what an idea.
Welcome to the after show, guys. Thanks for hanging with us. We have a lot
I'm
to catch up on, and oh my gosh, we had so many great comments and everything in the chat, and we love you guys. We just do, and we
I can't
appreciate
wait to go
you.
back and read the ones I've missed because they do go by pretty fast. So we
Yeah.
have to go back sometimes and look. But hey, we have got a lot of stuff going on. Our next book discussion will be July 21st with The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau by Kristen Harmel. Very excited about that. And that is an amazing cover. I just love it.
I'm a bouncing Vanna.
Yes, you're doing very well, Lisa. Our August book club discussion will be August 18th with Eliza Knight and Confessions of a Grammar Queen. And as you might notice, Eliza was just a Saturday giveaway book author this past weekend. So we thank her
Yes.
for that and look forward to her being here in August, excuse me.
Yes. We cannot wait for that. And then our September book club discussion is, I'm super excited for this. August Lane by Regina Black. Country, music, drama. It's so good. You guys are gonna love it. And that's gonna be on September 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And one thing we want to make sure we bring up is our lovely reading challenge that we've been having so much fun with this year. So the prompt this month was to read a book recommended by a friend, and we've seen so many of your posts and books you've been reading, and it just makes my TBR list explode. I'm like, the reading challenge is not helping me with my TBR, just making it worse. But it's
Well, that's
good.
what we're here for.
That's what we're here for, to blow it up. And then next month for July, the prompt is to read a book set in France. So there
What
are
would that
several
be,
options for
perhaps?
that. I mean, we could possibly go back to this little one here. Do, do,
Yeah.
do, 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 do.
Oh my goodness, Lisa.
Um, hey, we're in the after show. I can, whatever.
Okay. Okay.
And in case you've been under a rock, you might not have heard that we're celebrating 5 year anniversary. Can you believe she has had to put up with me for 5 years?
5 years. Tell me about it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I can't believe it's been 5 years, and yet it also seems like it's been, so long that we've known each other.
I
So
know. It's so
kind of a
weird.
kind of a dichotomy, but anyway. Um,
So we have a huge, well, I shouldn't say huge, but we have a fun 5 year anniversary celebration weekend planned August 8th through the 10th in Atlanta, Georgia. And we are super excited. You want to start off with the first event of the
I
weekend?
will indeed. I'm going to share the graphic. Our first event, I cannot believe it, is a live happy hour with Ron Block at the Lazy Dog Restaurant. on Friday
You're
night, August 8th.
you have two screens showing, so it's showing
Oh, I'm so
your
sorry.
run of show.
Oh, well, that's lovely. Let me just, I don't know how, that's never happened before.
You know, it's like there it is. We're
Yep,
doing a
there
live
it
happy
is.
hour with Ron Block and special guests that we'll be announcing later.
Yes, and I'm just so excited about that. I didn't dream that we would be able to have a live happy hour with Ron.
I know, I'm so glad he's coming and he'll be hanging out with us the whole weekend at the event. So we'll get to hang
And
out with
then
Ron.
and then on Saturday, we have a sweet tea social that I'm going to see if I can display without incident. And it's doing it again.
Nope, it's
Um,
good.
so excited about this one too. We have authors Piper Hughley, Danini Milner, and Kristen Ness, our dear book club member Kristen
Yay.
Ness, joining us at the social. And this is going to be at Poe and Company Bookstore, and they do a lot of author events and are very excited about partnering to be a part of our weekend.
Yep. And we just posted the ticket link for this today. The ticket link is live. And the ticket includes the lunch. It's going to be super fun. And also, everyone who attends that day will get a 10% discount on any purchase they make from the store. So it's going to be pretty cool. And then, as if that's not enough cool, we haven't even made it to the main event yet, but here it
I
comes.
know, right?
Saturday, August 9th at 6:30 p.m., we will be
I am working on
at
it.
the Margaret Mitchell House in Atlanta, which is amazing. We still can't believe that we're having our party there. And we will be joined by five amazing authors: Mary Kay Andrews, Kimberly Brock, Lauren Connolly, Colleen Oakley, and Vanessa Riley will be on stage with us. And it's going to be a night to remember. So, the ticket link for this is available. It's already on the page under the feature tab. And also, if you go on the event tab, we have events listed for these. So the link for the tickets is also in the event. So make sure that you get the tickets because the ticket link we have posted now is good through the end of June. Tickets are only $15, and that's a special rate for us. So it's kind of like a secret link. And then on July 1st, the link will go live on the Atlanta History Center website, and it will be open to the public and promoted as an event with them as well. So they were very nice to make sure our book club members got first dibs on the event
Yeah,
because
got first opportunity.
it's gonna be a great night. And we want to
And
make sure you guys get your tickets.
one of the features of this night too that I think is wonderful that the Atlanta History Center did for us is it includes a tour of the Margaret Mitchell House, which is alone more than $15. So you can tour this historic place where Margaret Mitchell wrote her novels and enjoy all the great authors. So we're very excited about that.
And they'll be signing. You have the option to pre-order books from each author that they will be signing at the event. So it's gonna be amazing. And then we still have Sunday.
That's right.
So on
Now we
Sunday, we're gonna start with a little brunch at the hotel, which is La Meridian. We also have the link posted for La Meridian. They've given us an amazing discounted rate for the hotel. Um, and to book the room with our rate, hotel rooms must be booked by July 18th. We will continue to post and remind everyone, but make sure if you're coming to book that hotel before then. And it's $109 a night for a king size suite. I mean, a king bed suite, and $119 for two king bed suite. And those rooms are big and they all have refrigerators. It's so nice. It's such a nice thing. So make sure you get your room.
Absolutely. And then our closing event is really exciting too. We have the closing event, Foxtail Books is presenting Karen Slaughter with in conversation with Mary Kay Andrews. And it is a public event, but we will be there in mass and browsing the bookstore beforehand and then going over together to the event. So what a way to close it out, because Karen and Mary Kay are next
Comedy
level.
gold. Comedy gold.
I didn't want to say comedy gold, but they
They're
are.
so funny together. And we'll be wearing our Friends in Fiction Book Club t-shirts to the Karen Slaughter event as we close out the weekend. So it's gonna be so much fun, and we get excited every time we get a message saying, "Oh, we're coming," or "We're flying in," or "What hotel," and all this, and we're just like, we cannot wait for everyone to gather and hang out. It's gonna be a great weekend. And then in the spirit of that, because we've taken on this huge undertaking, Brenda and I, to celebrate our 5 years, we have asked members if they would like to um, donate $5 to celebrate 5 years.
5 years.
We have a Buy Me a Coffee campaign, and the funds will help go towards the events that we have planned, author gifts, um, just maintaining the page, and giveaways, things that, Brenda and I we've never really asked for any funds in return. But once we took on this party, it was like, okay, if people would like to donate, we definitely could use that. So if you want to donate $5 to buy us a coffee, we would absolutely love it. This is the QR code. And I will also post a link to the Buy Me a Coffee page in the chat, but it is also posted already under the feature tab. So you can find it there as well.
And thanks so much for those of you who've already bought us a coffee
Yes.
or two.
Or a coffee or two, or a chai tea latte, as I like to say.
That's right. That's right. Or a tea.
Or a tea.
So yeah, that was a lot, but we had a lot to share tonight. We definitely wanted to go
Yeah,
through the anniversary celebration, and we're very excited about the upcoming books that we're reading. It's just been amazing.
it has been. It really has been.
Oh, I
And
can
we've
stop
just been
sharing now,
blessed.
probably.
Oh, yeah, you
I'll
can.
stop sharing now.
Little QR code to scan. And I
Yep,
posted the link in there. And we're just grateful for you guys. We've still got
we
people hanging
are.
out in the chat.
Oh, yay.
Yay.
We've been just a minute or two over.
So Leslie said, I think we're gonna have stomach aches from laughing the weekend of anniversary weekend. I agree. I don't
Oh,
think my cheeks are gonna handle it. I
I know,
agree.
right? We are so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I guess we probably need to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thanks for
So,
joining us
thank you for
as
joining
we
us.
discussed this gem. I just wanted to see you do that, honestly.
All right. Good night and happy reading.
Happy reading, and PB&J out.